Okay, looks like we're live. Let's see. All right. So let's see. Starting a private practice can be daunting to the soul. And we understand that managing the administrative aspects of a private practice can be extremely time consuming and complex. That's why we've developed a suite of services designed to alleviate these burdens and enhance the efficiency of your practice. Our experienced team of professionals is well versed in medical billing, coding, and credentialing requirements, ensuring accurate and timely reimbursements for your services. This presentation aims to help you help you set up your practice for success. So, if you're a medical doctor in private practice and you're looking to set up your practice, this presentation is for you. Or if you've already set up your practice, I'll urge you to listen and watch this presentation to see if everything that is covered here you're already implementing. So, my name is Jude, and I represent Providence Health Consultants. We're a medical billing, coding, credentialing company located out here in Houston, Texas. And the presentation that I have for you today is on setting up your practice for success. I'll share my screen right now so you can see um, what I am seeing as I go along. Window. All right. So I have in here choosing a location, obtaining an NPI. These are the steps that you have to follow, right? Credentialing, electronic health recording system, electronic data interchange. Then there are other key topics like uh, electronic funds transfer, submitting your claim, uh, proper documentation, coding your encounters, and getting paid by billing your claims regularly. So the very first item here is location, right? Every business location, location, location. The There are so many ways to go about this process. Uh, Most people will hire a marketing company that does Outlook and will they'll check for the credentials or the demographics of their ideal patient. But you have to start by determining whether you want to bill insurance or do direct cash pay. If you're going to be billing insurance, then there are several things that you have to think about. Um, but ultimately, you have to start with the location where your ideal patients live, right? So it can be so many different things, but uh, by now you maybe are practicing in a larger setting or um, in a hospital. You have a general idea of who your clients, who your patients are going to be. You can do a demographic search to find out where these patients typically go or typically live, and then you can set up as close to them as possible. Um, if you go to an area that is already congested, um, you can have issues with credentialing, especially if you're going to be billing insurance companies. Most of these private insurance, commercial payers, they have limitations on the number of doctors that they can have within a set area. So if you don't do all this legwork, then you find yourself uh, stuck with a particular type of payers, and that can be less comfortable for you. So non-saturated area, uh, you also have to uh, ensure that you know the demographics of your ideal patients and then set up next to them. So the next crucial thing after selecting your location, you have to think about obtaining your NPI. Right now, if you are still with a particular practice or a hospital, the NPI that you have is probably the type 1. So the National Provider Identification Number is type 1, which is for individual uh, doctors. And type 2 is organization. So your practice, your location, your practice name also has to have an NPI. So the question is, which do you need? You actually need both of them. It is always better to set up everything using the organization NPI, and then you can add other yourself as a doctor under that organization. If you set up your billing process like that, then it makes things easier later on down the line. Where do you go to get one? Right here on the screen, I have placed the website where you go to apply for an NPI. If you don't already have that, then you can go to this website, and you have the opportunity to create an NPI both for the organization, and if you don't already have an individual one, you can set this up also. Now, on the credentialing part, credentialing is just the process of gathering all your uh, credentials, right? Your make sure you're who you say you are, your degree, your training, um, licenses, insurance, all of those details. You gather everything and you put it in a database. Typically, um, the most commonly used one is the CAQH Pro View. I have the link on the, or you can just Google search CAQH Pro View and it should come up. Um, you go into there, create a free account, you fill out the information that is required. There's going to ask you for your education, uh, your background, name, references, all of those stuff. Is going to gather all of this data and keep it in the database, CAQH ProView database. The other place where you have to go is PICOS, and to get the your PTAN number. Then, depending on which state that you are in, you go to your state Medicaid website, and you can apply for Medicaid ID. And when you start looking to get to the commercial payers, let's pick Cigna for instance. Uh, when you go to Cigna's website to apply to be contracted with them, They're going to take give you a form that you fill out. Then most of the time they're going to ask you for your CAQH account number, CAQH ID. So once you provide this information and then fill out that form that this commercial payer has put together for you, they can go into their CAQH database and they can get all of the information that they need from that CAQH database. So this is something that you have to keep updating regularly. So your insurance, liability insurance, it expires. You have to update it. You have to keep updating this database on a regular basis. Now, once these commercial payers, once they have accepted you into their network, they will typically give you a contract that on that contract will have your uh, um, the fee schedule that they'll be paying for the services that you'll be rendering. It will have the CPT codes that you can bill. Everything will be cleared out. It will be shown on that contract. So when you sign that contract, you'll be accepting the terms that this payer is presenting to you. There is a way to renegotiate the contract, but coming in brand new, typically you don't have that option. But once you have established the practice for some time, you show uh, record that you've been serving this particular payer's patients, then you have an opportunity to renegotiate whatever is on that contract. Time frame, it varies. It varies a lot by provider, by the completeness of your application, by natural events, right? So some will go maybe 30, 60, 120 days, or even up to 6 months. So it really varies. There's no fixed time frame that you can have all of this done. The best thing to do is just to start early and plan ahead of time before you go live. The next item here that you have to set up is the electronic health recording system. You have to make sure that you select, you take your time really to select your EHR, because this can really make or break your practice. There are certain criteria that you should look out for when selecting your EHR. Most people will go for the cheapest available one that they find. I'll caution you not to do that. Um, there are certain costs and value that uh, you trade off when you go for an EHR. Uh, Check on the transparency um, when you type in or when you put in something in the EHR and it is changed. Is that is there a way to track that information? Eligibility checks. Are you able to run eligibility checks live? Um, the clearinghouse for this EHR, is this internal or external? Do you have to send your information to an external clearinghouse before it gets sent to uh, the payer? So these are things that you need to think about. Data storage. Um, are you able to store additional patient information like their insurance ID, their HIPAA release form that is signed, or any other information that you want to keep on that patient's chart? So these are just some of the highlights on things that you need to look out for when selecting your electronic health recording system. Don't just look at price, right? Don't just look at the cost. Um, uh, Take your time to pick the right one. So, electronic data interchange. Uh, this is a process to set up your EHR directly so that it communicates directly with the payers that you're credentialed with. So this process also takes some time to be done. A lot of practices neglect this and later on find out that they are having delays in receiving their payments for services rendered, or they are unable to send claims out at all. So it is very crucial that immediately after you have selected your EHR, that you set up this and you do it correctly. So the time frame to get all of these payers set up, it varies, just like the credentialing process. It varies a lot. Some payers is automatic. You can send your claims immediately to them, but they are unable to send the remittance advice back to you immediately. So you have to set this thing up as soon as you can. Some will take as fast as 2 weeks. Some is a month. Some is 45 days. Some even longer. So the uh, once again the same thing. You have to think about this ahead of time and plan accordingly. Other key topics we'll not go into today, but the electronic funds transfer. If you set this up, you can get paid as soon as maybe 2 3 days after a claim is sent out. We've seen claims that were done, say Monday. The claims were sent out to the payers that same Monday, and maybe by Thursday or Friday, the doctor is getting paid. So this is possible if you have set up electronic funds transfer. If you're still relying and waiting for a paper check, then it takes longer. Uh, when you submit your first claim, then you have to start making sure that you've done your documentation correctly. You have used the right uh, diagnosis code, the right CPT, the right modifiers, and to ensure that these claims are cleaned before they are sent out to the payers. Otherwise, the claims get rejected. Then you have to start spending time to figure out why the claims were rejected, and uh, all of this causes delay in your cycle, right? And it prevents you from getting your payments on a timely basis. So I have different videos. If you've been following this page, I have different videos that talk about each and every one of these items. And we're going to keep creating more content around the subject. If you found this information helpful, these are the services that we can help you with. Uh, Patient demographic entry, uh, CPT, coding and billing, charge entry, claim submission, payment posting, account receivable follow up, and reporting. So, if you find any of this information that I've provided to you helpful, consider following our page. Send me a message, and if you need help with any of the items that I've talked about today, we can work together. Uh, I'll stop here, and please leave us a comment, send me a message right here wherever you see this video, and we can have a pretty good conversation. Thank you, and I'll see you next time. Okay.